Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. What are you looking at? My dog is here. Look at her. Look how cute she is. But what are you doing? Yeah, this is a bit of a different video than my usual content, but I don't know, I was just in a reflective mood recently since turning 18. So I was gonna do, I don't really know how to title this. I'll figure it out when I post it, make the thumbnail and stuff. But it's 18 pieces of advice I'm taking into my 18th year. Does that sound right? Yeah. So I'm journaling. This is my journal. It's so full, we're not even halfway through the year and it's but whatever. So the first one is something I saw on TikTok, but it's missing somebody is a reflection of how much you love them, not how much they love you. And I saw this and I was like, real, because I feel like I am a very emotional person and I miss people a lot, but I'm in the grand scheme of things, are they probably giving a shit about me? Most likely not. But anyways, the next one is actually very useful for me. No amount of guilt can change the past, and no amount of anxiety can change the future, which struck enough because I was like, ooh, as an anxious girly, I overthink everything. I lie awake at night and I'm thinking back on a conversation I had when I was 5 years old, and I'm like, shouldn't have said that. But yeah. So the next one is you're not broken, you're just moving at a different pace, which is wow. If you didn't know, or if you're new here, I have autism. If you can hear the dog in the back, she is doing her little zoomies. But she has to be in my bedroom because we've got painters in the house and the door's wide open. But anyways, she's on her just little spinning around at the moment. But yeah, so as someone with autism, I girls with autism often don't get diagnosed until a lot later. I'm not officially diagnosed, but I have I've been to psychiatrists since I was 11, and they've all been yeah, girly pops, you're not quite normal. But so I got sort of half diagnosis because it's not a full one, because we were on private, and I was yeah, it was £2 for diagnosis. No, but I'm on the NHS waiting list. Anyways, don't know why I'm telling you all this, but yeah, the moral of the story is, as someone who's autistic, especially as an autistic girl, when you don't fully fit all the young Sheldon, 5-year-old boy obsessed with trains sort of stereotypes, it can be you just feel like something's wrong with you a lot of the time. And this really was whoa, you know what, maybe there isn't something wrong with me, it's just my brain works a little differently than other people my age, and that's okay, you know. The next one is don't live by the what ifs. Yeah, again, anxious girly pops. I'm when I'm lying awake at night, I'm what if I said this? What if I didn't say that? Stop. Breathe. And just try and forget about it, because no amount of thinking back will change the past, literally. So, next one is doing the things that scare you is where you will find yourself. And so true. When I started college, I go to college in a different town than what I live in, and growing up, basically, full life story. Growing up, I've always been really anxious. I had a little bit of selective mutism growing up. I would literally just not talk to people if they weren't my parents or my best friend. Even my grandparents, if I hadn't seen them in a while, a couple months, I would just not speak when we went around their house. So yeah, I think that kind of has always affected me. And then especially after COVID, like being in lockdown, going back to school after that, I was literally like having panic attacks on a daily basis because I just didn't want to walk 10 minutes down the road to school, you know? So going to college in a different town, honestly, I think has really helped me, because otherwise I think I would still be in that moment of like, I don't ever want to leave my house, I don't want to leave my bed, which I still don't. I love my bed, it's so comfy. Also, if I keep sniffling, hay fever is killing me off today. But yeah, I remember I went to an open day, like experience thing in like the June before I started college, and just getting the train by myself at 8 a.m. was like terrifying. But I did it, and from then on I was like, when I've done it once, I can do it again, and I get the train by myself every single day now. So I'm totally fine. I'm like, oh, if I can do it, I can do whatever. It's fine. I'm now planning to like fly abroad and go to like different countries by myself once I finished my A levels. So yeah, doing things that scare you. Obviously, don't like jump off a cliff, but like just little things, step by step, is really what will shape you for the better. The next one is you're exactly where you're meant to be. Sometimes I feel like I am either like slower than other people my age, or like I just feel I see people online and I'm like, yo, they're my age and they're doing all this, and I'm sat about to do my A levels, and it's like, well, maybe like obviously I'm on a different sort of career trajectory than them, so like obviously we're not going to be the exact same pace, but this is where I am and this is where it's best for me to be for what I want to achieve in life. So I think, yeah, that's wonderful. The next one is very one. Live your life for you. The doorbell's ringing. Hold on. Let me go answer it. Okay, never mind. It was just the postman. Anyways, so yeah, live your life for you, not everyone else. I feel like I spent a lot of secondary school, like I never really fit in with my friends in secondary school. I had like one best friend growing up who was like, we were just always together. But then as we got into secondary school, we sort of had different groups and we kind of broke apart a little bit. We're still really good friends to this day. But I was in a group where I had one friend and the rest of them Loki just bullied me, but I stayed sitting with them at lunchtimes and stuff because I had that one friend and I didn't have anybody else. But I feel like because of that, when I was like sat at lunch, I would pretend that I was into certain subjects, or I would like start doing random hobbies just because I wanted to fit in. And I was like, looking back, I'm like, that's not me, that's not who I was. And at the end of the day, who really gives a shit if you have the same hobby as some random 15-year-old girl that once you leave school you're probably never going to see in your life? Like the one girl that I was friends with in that group, I see like on a weekly basis, sometimes daily basis. The rest of them, I couldn't give less of a shit about them. Haven't seen them in ages. In fact, I actively ignore them. I've got them all blocked on social media because I'm like, nah, babe. So yeah, this kind of ties in. The next one is listen to your mum's opinion of your friends, because the amount of times I would maybe like start hanging out with a group of people in like primary school or secondary school, and mum would be like, I'm not too sure. Like when I was telling my mum about what we did hanging out, she was like, well, I'm not too sure they're the best for you. And then I'd be like, oh, it's fine, you don't really know, you haven't hung out with them. And then like a couple months later they'd do me fucking die, and I'd be like, yeah, you know what, should have listened to mum. So I feel like, not to be all like Rapunzel, mother knows best, because I feel like sometimes obviously parents will get it wrong, but sometimes your mum has had more experience than you, and you probably should listen to her. The next is the best experiences will happen when you're not searching for them. I feel like I spent so much of my life sort of trying to live vicariously through other people, whether it be like YouTubers I watch or like people I see in person like at school. I'm like, whoa, I wish I had their life. And so I would try and like not I mean I'm still very into manifestation, but I would try and like actively hunt for ways that I could be more like so and so I saw on YouTube. Whereas actually I feel like now if I'm not like actively hunting for these opportunities and these experiences, they kind of just come into my life naturally. So yeah, I like that. Like I went to see Taylor. I didn't even like mean to, but I was like, oh, I would love to get Taylor tickets, and then I got a pre-sale code, and I immediately got tickets, and I was like, whoa. Same thing happened with Lord, which by the way, everyone on TikTok is like, oh my god, what was the Lord pre-sale? Sorry, random man. I low-key found it so easy. I was like on there for like 2 minutes and I got tickets. Maybe it's because I got tickets like right at the back because I prefer to be seated and I was just looking for the cheapest tickets possible. But yeah, anyways. The next piece of advice number 10 is making yourself happy or making yourself miserable takes up the same amount of energy. So just try and choose to do what makes you happy. I saw, again, this is something I saw on TikTok and was like, whoa, that really was like real. I feel like now that I've kind of stopped trying to just please everyone. I mean, I am still very much a people pleaser, but I'm not like trying to do it to please my friends. If I'm a people pleaser in the way of like, I'm scared to pull out of a junction because I don't want to piss off other people, you know what I mean? But yeah, I feel like I do now kind of embrace, especially I think this has happened a lot more after getting the autism diagnosis. I say diagnosis, again, it's not, let me sneeze. It's not a full diagnosis, but it's like after I saw a psychiatrist and they were like, yeah, you definitely are autistic, and it's not something to be like ashamed of, it's just your brain is wired a bit differently. I really just stopped kind of masking and just do what makes me happy and be sort of unapologetic in myself. And I mean, I do feel a lot happier within myself. I am also on antidepressants, so that might be why, but I feel just a lot more like uplifted and I'm not like as scared to do new things. So unless it's trying new food, because I still refuse to try new food. The next one is something that I've seen like all over TikTok and Pinterest, but it's don't take criticism from people you wouldn't take advice from. Which I wish I could go back and tell my like 13, 14-year-old self this, because looking back, like, why was I just listening to people that were supposed to be my friends insult me constantly? And I'd be like, maybe they have a point, but I'm like, I don't want your life. I don't really care about what you think. So why the hell am I listening and like taking it in? Which obviously it is so difficult if you're getting like consistently bullied. I know it is so difficult to like not be like, well, maybe they've got a point, but I think as long as you also spend time with people who truly do care about you, it is a bit easier to sort of see a way out of that. The next one is to heal a wound, you need to stop touching it, which is so true in my current life. I don't want to go too much into it because it's like sort of a difficult subject for me to talk about, but I've had like many experiences in my life that I've either like cut off friendships or like cut off communication with certain family members because of just personal issues. And really, to get over it, you need to stop thinking about it. It's like, I mean, I've never had a relationship, but I kind of assume it's what it's like if you go through a breakup and you're kind of like, you really need to distance yourself from that person. But yeah, it's just, you need, like, my finger was bleeding and I kept picking at it and making it worse, but now that I've stopped, it's fine. Take that into account of others. Now I'm looking at my list, I have realised I've only gone up to 16. So maybe I have to like make up the other two, or we'll just leave it at 16. But the next one is a Harry Styles quote, because you know I love Harry Styles. He's on a poster on my wall here from his Coachella outfit. It's fill up your own cup and let others fall in love with the overflow. I saw a TikTok that said this at the very beginning of 2025, like in January, when I was making, like, starting my journal for the year, and it's like literally I think the first piece of advice that I had written in here. Yeah, because I've got a little like monthly spread where I do like my favourite song and my favourite like moment of the month. I've also got like a piece of advice for each month, and that was the one for January. But it really is so true. That's what I've been saying, of like, be unapologetically yourself and find friends who do care about it and care about you and have the same interests as you. Well, maybe not fully the same interests. Like, I've got really good friends that if you to like look at us and put like just our hobbies right now, we've got like no overlap, but we do like love each other. Like, we're like sisters. So it's, yeah, but I feel like a lot of my friendships now are so close because they do genuinely care about me as a person, and I genuinely care about them and their feelings. And whereas I never really had that growing up, other than like that one girl I was talking about before. So yeah, I think it is really important to just put more energy into caring about yourself instead of caring what others think. And once you find, like, once you're happy with yourself, you will just kind of naturally find people that you sort of draw to and have the same sort of interests or whatever as you. This next one is another one I saw on TikTok. I never said I'm some sort of like prophet. I'm just saying I'm seeing these things on TikTok and I'm like, whoa. But the next one is nature doesn't rush and yet everything is still accomplished. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy, because like no one tells a plant to photosynthesize. It just sort of knows how and when to do it. And no one like is like, yo, sunflower, you gotta speed up growing. But it still just flourishes magnificently. So magnificent? Yeah, that's a word. So yeah, I think you've just got to take your time. Don't don't be searching for everything, but just like, live life. How have I been yapping for 20 minutes? That's crazy. My dog sat staring at me. She's probably like, girl, get off your phone, what are you doing? I've got like literally 2 more though, because again I couldn't get to 18. But it's stop living in your head and start living in the moment. And that is something that I actually need to take advice and implement more. But I feel like I have been doing it more recently. Honestly, not gonna lie to you, getting put on medication really helped. But I feel like I do still spend a lot of my time being like, oh, but if I go out into town, I might see someone that I know, or I might like get hit by a car if I cross the road. And it's like, yeah, that is a possibility, but if you're not there, you're never gonna know. And as long as you like get out of your head and look, this is probably a really bad analogy, but like as long as you get out of your head and look around, you're not gonna get hit by a car if you look at the road and like look across the road when there's no cars. Maybe that made no sense, but anyways, the last one is so important. I know at the moment it's like GCSE season, A-level season, just exams in general. And it's don't define your life by a letter or a number on a piece of paper. Because I feel like GCSEs, I put so much pressure on myself, because growing up, again, I was autistic growing up, and I grew up being like the gifted academic. Like, I was literally in my school put into a gifted and talented section where there was like 5 kids from each year group just pulled out because they had the highest predicted grades. And I grew up with like, I got really high in my SATs, and so going into secondary school, all my predicted grades were like A's, A stars, the occasional B in like science or something. But then I put so much pressure on myself because I was like, well, if I don't get these grades, I'm going to disappoint everyone. And I was very lucky. I grew up not having any pressure from my parents because my mum, love her to pieces. It's not the most academic. She's really good at English and like creative writing, but like maths and science no. But she has got dyscalculia, so give her a break, you know. But yeah, I had no pressure, but I think I had this internal pressure from like teachers, which as a sociology student I'm now like, teacher labelling, not good. But yeah, I felt like so much pressure. I was like, oh my god, if I don't get all A stars, I'm going to disappoint every single one I know, and I'm going to basically be worthless because I associated all my worth into a grade I got. And at the end of the day, is it that deep? No. Just to get into college, I needed to pass English, pass maths, and pass 2 other subjects. Did that. I did pass on my GCSEs in the end. I didn't get full A stars. I got like 4 A's and the rest were B's. And I got like a couple of C's because I got a C in biology because it's, if you don't know GCSE biology, you have to do 2 exam papers, and I didn't do paper 1, I only did paper 2 because I started paper 1 and then I had a massive panic attack and just didn't, I only did like the first like question or 2, so yeah, but still I passed, so maybe everything is falling into place. But with A levels, I feel like, okay, maybe this is a lot easier for me to say because I've got an unconditional uni offer, which means I don't have to get specific grades, whereas a lot of my friends are like, oh, I need AAB, or I need like BBC to get into the uni that I want. But I have an unconditional for my top choice, so I don't need specific grades. I could just drop out of college and I would still have the uni place. I'm not going to. But I feel like I've been lucky enough to be put in that position where I don't have to stress as much, but I still am going to stress because it's me and I stress about what outfit I wear in the morning, you know? So obviously I still want to do well, but I've sort of come to terms with the fact that I'm probably not going to get 3 A stars. Let's be fully real. So, I mean, I would love to, just putting that into the universe, I would love to get 3 A stars, but it's probably not a likely possibility. So I don't need to freaking like almost kill myself over getting all A stars, because at the end of the day, I still got a uni place. I'm not going to get disowned if I don't get 3 A stars. My like friends still care about me, my family still cares about me, teachers, I'm sure as much as they would love for their entire class to get A stars and for their average to be like really brought up, they know it's not going to happen for their entire class to get A stars, so they're like, all my teachers are just like, work, as long as you try your best, that's all you can do. And that really is, maybe that should be my next piece of advice, as long as you try your best, it should be okay. And oh, the last piece of advice, number 18, is do what makes you happy. As long as you're not hurting or harm anyone, do what makes you happy. And I feel like that's something I was raised by. Like, I mean, I grew up vegan. Well, I was vegetarian until I was like 10, but like, just as long as you're not hurting anyone or anything, honestly, who cares? Do what makes you happy. If you want to go and be an astronaut, you do that. If you want to become, I don't know, an Olympic gymnast, do that. So yeah, that was the 18 pieces of advice that I'm taking into my 18th year. Thank you so much for watching. I can't believe I've been yapping for like 25 minutes. I honestly sat down to film this and was like, oh, it's probably gonna be really short. It's probably like a 5-minute video. Forgot that I yapathon. But yeah, this is different from my usual content, but sometimes I do like to get a bit like sentimental and just yap. So if you do like this sort of thing and you want to hear more of me just yapping, comment down below, because I will always yap. I could talk for England if it's something that I'm interested in. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. When you subscribe, hit that little notification bell so that you are reminded every time I upload. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I love you all. You're beautiful. And bye.